So, for the record, my position is that I'm just taking the negation to the proposition that reductive physicalism is over substance dualism by virtue of parsimony. And I'm assuming that you're affirming it, right, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay. So my problem would be, because I'm presupposing, right, or at least we're presupposing that the explanatory power of this view, right, reductive physicalism, is going to be equal. Or we could just akin it with the saying, like, if all things are equal, then it's just the case that by virtue of parsimony, it would be favored. So how would you go about justifying the proposition that these, like, explanatory powers are equal for both views?
There's a few ways you could do it. I mean, one way is you could just go through the data and just see if, in principle, physicalism could account for it. So let's just take, like, I don't know.
Did he cut out? Hello?
There, just take these. So those in principle can be accounted for in terms of brain states. So it seems like if physicalism can account for the relevant data, there's nothing in principle that prevents physicals from saying that. Then it seems like they're equal in explanatory power, unless there's some reason for thinking that physicals can explain certain things. In which case, I would just want to know what those things are.
Yeah, and obviously that's what's in question, right? Whether or not these things can be accounted for. And what I'm just saying is, like, for example, because obviously we are aware of both positions, so I don't think we need to lay them out. But what I'm saying is, at least from my viewpoint, I haven't seen any evidence towards the proposition that you can say, like, these physical phenomena, or at least these mental phenomena, being, like, reduced into these, like, physical things, are accounted for in these, like, instances. So, for example, how would you explain qualia while not appealing to some non-physical or some secondary entity in the brain?
What do you mean by qualia?
Yeah, I just index it to be some subjective experience.
Okay, I don't think qualia exists on that construal.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, because it being subjective bakes in that it's non-physical.
Wait, you said what?
Because, yeah, when you say it's subjective, I mean, I don't think that anything has the property of being subjective or first person.
Oh, so you think everything is objective?
Right.
Oh, well, what would be the argument?
But that's just what the hypothesis says.
Okay, I don't think that's an adequate response. So, to be clear, you made the claim that you think, or at least you believe, that everything is objective. I'm just asking for an argument to support the view.
So you want the argument for physicalism now?
Okay,
I think that's an entailment of physicalism.
Okay, listen. You said everything is objective. That's not. Yeah. I'm not saying. Okay, wait. Listen. I'm not saying that, like, when you reference some, like, physical thing, it necessarily has to be objective, right? But I'm saying that when you're taking, I just take objective to be a wider scope than some, like, physical thing, and so therefore I'm asking you to justify everything being physical. That's the main claim you made.
Yeah. So. Okay, you want the argument that everything is physical. Well, here's a strange thing. The discussion is about physicalism about the mind.
Yeah, but listen, to be clear, you made the claim that everything is objective, because when I said things like subjective experiences, you said, well, I just don't think subjective experiences exist because I think everything is objective, and I'm asking for the argument for it.
Yeah, it could be, but I could just be agnostic on if anything objective or anything subjective exists at all. What we're confused about is just whether or not minds are objective.
And I wouldn't have a problem with that, but okay, under a, like, okay, let's just say you out the gate said I'm agnostic on this proposition. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but the thing is, you made the claim, so you have to justify it, unless you want to drop it. And then we can go back to the actual.
I take the view, but I said I take the view, but me giving an argument for it isn't relevant.
Yeah, why?
Because whether I could be agnostic on the view and it wouldn't change anything.
No, okay, you can't be agnostic on a claim you make. For example, I can't say every apple is red, and then say I'm agnostic on the proposition whether or not all apples are red. That's not how that works.
You're confused. The fact that I could be agnostic on that. Just stop. The fact that I could be agnostic on it will turn its relevance, obviously. If I could be agnostic on some proposition that might.
Wait. Okay. You're saying, okay, listen. You're saying you made the claim that everything is objective, and now you're saying you're agnostic on the proposition.
I said I take that. No, you're confused. I didn't say I'm agnostic on that proposition. I said I could be agnostic on that proposition. It wouldn't matter. Already confused.
Okay, no, you said...
Yeah,
okay,
so whether or not I can
are,
give an argument in favor of a proposition is irrelevant if I could just be agnostic on the proposition,
Yeah, and I'm saying,
and
how
it
can
wouldn't
you-
have
okay,
anything to
how
do
can you be
like,
agnostic
whatsoever
if you make the
with whether or
claim?
not the debate proposition is
How
true,
can
which
you
is just
be agnostic if
specifically
you make the
that minds don't
claim?
have the
How can you be
property of being
agnostic if you make the
subjective.
claim? That's the question.
Just already lost.
Wait, I don't think I'm lost because I'm tracking perfectly fine.
I agree you don't
We
think
were
you're
on the
lost. It's
point
because
of
you're
what
lost.
qualifies yeah, we were on the point of what qualifies. Okay, wait, chill out. We were on the point of what qualifies for things that can be accounted for with both views. And we were going over them. Now, like, brought up, okay, I don't think, like, for example, you can account for subjective experiences by utilizing some physical basis.
Yeah, I said I'm not convinced that there are subjective experiences, and that's what's wrong.
Oh my God!
Whether or not there are subjective experiences is relevant. Whether or not there's anything that's subjective whatsoever isn't relevant. And I could bring up some belief that I have in passing that I have, while simultaneously me affirming that proposition isn't relevant to the debate proposition. Obviously, just like a small, just a blunder there. I mean, just an obvious blunder.
Okay, can you like not spread over me? Thank you. So as I was saying,
do you not make like obvious blunders so I don't have to like interrupt you and point them out?
I'm aware that under this...
Now you're stumbling over yourself. What the fuck? Are you good?
Okay, I'm aware
just like realize you said something retarded?
But what I'm saying is, if you make the claim, for example, this thing doesn't exist or this thing is the case. Like, for example, you made the claim that everything is objective or that only objectivity exists, and I'm just saying...
Do you think if I make a claim about my view in passing that somehow simultaneously makes it relevant to whether or not the debate proposition is true?
Yeah, okay, yes.
Yes? That's so embarrassing. Holy fuck. No, obviously the fact that I say something about my view in passing doesn't make it such that whether or not I affirm that proposition is relevant to the debate. It could be the case that metaphysical physicalism is false. It could be the case that idealism is true, but it also could simultaneously be the case that there's certain things that have subjective properties, right? It could be the case that like physicalism, or sorry, I should say it like this. It should be the case that, or it could be the case that metaphysical physicalism is true, or is false, but mind physicalism is true. That's why it isn't relevant. It's not relevant for me to give an argument in favor of the proposition that all mental states, or that everything that exists is like objective, if it is the case that whether or not physicalism about the mind turns on that. Or if it isn't the case that physicalism about the mind turns on that.
Okay, yeah, what is the like metaphysical thing you're talking about?
Okay, so mind physicalism, so I'll just say this. Mind physicalism is the view that all mental phenomena are physical. Okay, metaphysical physicalism is that everything that exists, so we're not having restricted quantification here. We're saying everything that exists is physical. So on one construal, the quantification is restricted, on the other construal, the quantification is unrestricted. That's the point.
Metaphysical, what was it?
I can't understand what the fuck you're saying.
Huh?
Wait, maybe I'm just drowning you with my background noise? Go ahead.
Hello? Yeah, you said something about like metaphysical something. I didn't pick up what it was.
Metaphysical physicalism? Yeah. So
yeah, what is
metaphysical? That? I'll just write it out for you since you like didn't track the expression. So metaphysical physicalism equals the view that everything is physical, bracket unrestricted, quantifying. Okay, now we have mind physicalism, the view that mental phenomena are physical, not making, I'll just say, restricted quantification, okay? So, hold on. Here are the two views. So we have metaphysical physicalism, the view that everything is physical, so there's unrestricted quantification going on, and mind physicalism is the view that mental phenomena are physical, which has restricted quantification going on.
Oh, okay. I understand now, and like, okay, I understand.
So asking me to give an argument for a claim that I made in passing about my view in total isn't relevant, just because I said it has to be relevant to the debate proposition, which is that mental phenomena are physical.
Wait, sorry? You were like, wait, I don't know if it was like this.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying that in passing I said that I take the view that there are no like things that have objective properties, but I could just be unconvinced that there's anything that have objective properties. I could or on whether or not everything has objective properties. I could be agnostic on the proposition that everything that exists has objective properties, because all that I have to show, I don't know, maybe you're trying to give an argument too. I mean, but all that I would have to maintain at the very, very least is just that mind physicalism is true, that mental phenomena are physical. But there are no mental phenomena that have the property of being subjective. That's what I'm unconvinced of.
Yes, okay.
And if you want the argument, and if you want the argument that, or if you want to know why it is that physicalists would be committed to that view, the reason physicalists would be committed to that view is because things having subjective properties, at least with respect to my view, would entail that there are these mental states that are non-physical. And then if you're asking, well, what's the argument that all mental states are physical in such a way where it entails that none of them are subjective? That's just tantamount to asking for the argument for physicalism. But remember, all we're saying is that, like in principle, physicalism can account for the relevant pieces of data that are neutral with respect to both theories.
Okay, I'm assuming you're finished, and that was like a mouthful, but just to be clear, all I'm saying is it's relevant because when we were talking about subjective experiences, you just took it to be the case that nothing's subjective. Like you said, you don't think subjective things exist. I don't know how physicalism and non-physicalism is too relevant here, but even like disregarding that, at least in the broad sense, right, where we're talking about if all things are non-physical or physical, I don't know if that has some like connection to like subjectivity or non-subjectivity. So
yeah, obviously it does. There's people who believe in fundamental subjectivity, but they might not think that like minds are fundamental.
Okay,
so there's views which are such that you can have a form of metaphysical physicalism, or you can deny metaphysical physicalism, but maybe you could be a physicalist about the mind. I'm saying that's not relevant whether or not you're a metaphysical physicalist. Maybe like I could just be agnostic on whether or not metaphysical physicalism is true. All I have to take a view on is whether or not physicalism about the mind is true. And I'm saying that for every neutral piece of data, right, like things that aren't just in principle defined as being irreducible, which I think that subjective experiences just are in principle by the way that they're ordinarily characterized, are such that they're reducible, can't be accounted for in physicalism, but then we don't have a neutral data piece with respect to both the theories. And then I just won't grant that there is such a data. And I'd have to see an argument for that.
Okay, so, okay, dude, I'm not gonna lie, like, every time you speak, you just commit a shotgun because you make multiple arguments in one go. So,
I understand it seems like a shotgun when there's like multiple points on the table that are like retarded that you fucking uttered, and when I respond to each of them, you get like overregulated because you're retarded.
Okay, nice rhetorical jab there.
I'm glad you agree with what I said.
As I was saying. Yeah, are you gonna continue to cut me off?
You can go ahead and continue, retard.
Wait, your mic is not plugged in, by the way, Erik.
Wait, hold on, let me see.
Okay, now that
I can talk now. As I was saying, yeah, your mic still has static, by the way.
What?
Yeah, your mic still has static. But as I was saying, I was gonna say like, okay, the thing you said in regards to like non-physicalism, I just don't think it grants credence towards the relevance of whether or not you aren't justified in like giving some type of argument for this thing because it I guess it quote unquote strayed too far from the actual topic, which I don't even see a reason as to why that's the case. All I'm saying is you made a claim, you need to justify the claim unless you want to drop the claim. That's how debates work. I don't know if you're like not really well versed in that realm of knowledge, but normally if you make a claim you have to justify it. And if
Wait, can you give an argument for the claim that you don't really know whether or not it's well versed? You made the claim, it's a debate, you made the claim. Do you have an argument for the claim that you don't know whether or not I'm well versed? Do you have an argument for that?
Yeah, well, obviously the claims will be.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna give an argument for an irrelevant fucking claim. Nice job, retard. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I'm glad you agree with my principle. That we're not gonna give arguments in favor of claims when those claims aren't relevant to the debate proposition. Whether or not metaphysical physicalism is true is irrelevant to whether or not mind physicalism is true. I understand that you're incredibly confused and that you're gonna re-ask the same exact retarded question. Yes, that is what we're talking about. The debate proposition was reductive physicalism is true, you fucking idiot. Holy shit. Did you know what the debate proposition was? Reductive physicalism is a view about the mind. It's not a view about metaphysics.
I agree.
Okay, you agree. Great. So then you agree that metaphysical physical is irrelevant to whether or not physicalism about the mind is true, right? Because metaphysical physicalism could be false. Well, wait. So just to be clear, you disagree that mind physicalism can be false, or sorry, can be true simultaneously while metaphysical physicalism is false. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, we can get a moderator. You're like,
wait, do you disagree with that or not?
Yeah, we can get a moderator.
Yeah, we can get a moderator. That's not an answer to the question. Do you disagree with the claim that mind physicalism can be true while metaphysical physicalism is false? Do you agree with that or not?
We can get a moderator. If you're gonna
we can get a moderator. Is the answer yes or no?
We can get a moderator.
Yes or no? Yeah, maybe we can get a moderator to force you to fucking answer the question instead of just repeatedly dodge. Holy fuck. Can we get a moderator to get you to answer the question? Can we get a moderator to moderate the retard such that he answers the question?
Yeah, Manji, you have perms. Can you moderate the
Can we get a mod to get him to answer the fucking question instead of like meandering and dodging around it as he's doing right now? Can we get a mod
I'll
for
answer
that?
the question after I have the capability to speak.
It's just a yes or no. I'll give you the ability to speak. Just answer with a yes or a no. And just to be clear on what the question is do you think that simultaneously mind physicalism can be true while metaphysical physicalism is false? Do you agree with that claim, yes or no? What, even when I'm muted you can't answer? Really? Jesus Christ. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I just
Okay, is
want
the answer yes or
moderation
no?
or we can stop.
No, I'll give you time to speak right now. Is the answer yes or no?
Yeah, we can get moderation going.
You won't even answer. Here, wait, let me set a 10-minute timer and we'll see if he gives yes or no. Or I'll just give it a 30-second timer, actually. 10 minutes is much of a retard.
Okay, then we can conclude like you.
Alright, let's just give it a 30-second timer. Let's see if we can get a yes or no answer to the question, okay?
I mean,
See
if I'm not gonna have
yes or no
moderation, I'm not
answer to
gonna
the question.
continue because you're just berging over me.
Alright, so let's just start the 30-second timer. And by the way, me spurging over him is me asking specifically if he'll answer the question in 30 seconds and giving him 30 seconds spurging over him.
No, because you're dodging
Alright, here's
around the
30
questions
seconds.
I'm
Yeah, yes or
asking
no.
you and then trying to get me to answer questions. You're doing the same thing Synth does, which is kind of corny, but it's whatever, man.
Alright, 20 seconds.
Yeah, we can move to conclusions. Like, I think you lost badly, dude.
10
You
seconds.
just didn't track.
5 seconds. 30 seconds to answer the question, you still don't? Even though the conditions for your complaint were, like, satisfied? Like, you being able to speak, you still didn't answer the question? Really?
No, they weren't. My condition for continuing the debate is
Jesus
that we have
Christ.
moderation.
No, you said you didn't want me talking over you. I understand you want
No,
moderation,
yeah,
but
and I'm
presumably,
saying
wait, I understand that you want moderation, retard. But that's not the reason you want moderation. The reason, like, you don't want moderation because you want moderation. The reason you want moderation is precisely because you're afraid of getting talked over. You want space to answer the question. So I specifically made it such that I designated 30 seconds for you. I give you extra fucking space to deliver a clear answer to the question, and you still refuse to do so. And the reason you refuse to do so isn't because you're afraid of getting talked over. It isn't because you just somehow, for some reason, want a moderator in and of itself. It's because you understand the fact that you don't have an answer to the question. Because either way, you're saying something retarded. If you say yes, right, then you're just conceding that if that those two views for some fucking reason are incompatible, which obviously they aren't. And if you say no, you take the view that those two things are compatible, then it seems very, very clear that you're asking for something completely fucking irrelevant. That's the reason you don't answer the question. I could give you an infinite amount of time, endless time, to try to answer the question, and you still never fucking will. And it's not just because I'm being mean to you. It's not just because you, like, think for some reason I'm unjustifiably talking over you. It's because, for the very precise reason, because I've given you plenty of time to answer the question, because you understand the fact that you're fucking trapped, that any answer you give to the question will make you sound retarded, as you've been sounding throughout the rest of this conversation. I mean, you can go ahead and give your closing statement if you want to, like, run the fuck away from the conversation, but there's a clear question on the table that you've refused to answer.
Yeah, okay. So, as I said, we can move to conclusion. My conclusion would just be the proposition that he was defending is that reductive physicalism is just better, or at least you should take it over, like, let's say, substance dualism by virtue of it being parsimonious. And I said this presupposes that the explanatory power of the views are equal, which would obviously I would need to see some, like, evidence or an argument for. And he just said, okay, well, we can say that if a view regarding philosophy of the mind entails that it has to explain these things, and these things seem to explain these things in, like, an equal manner, or explain these certain, like, traits, then we can just say by virtue of parsimony it would be favored. And I said, okay, well, what are these traits? He named like 3 or 4 traits in that, and I said, okay, well, how does it account for qualia? And he said, okay, well, what is qualia? And I just said I index it to subjective experiences. Now he said, okay, well, since we're talking about, like, subjective experience, I just don't think subjective experiences exist because I think everything is objective. I said, okay, if you're making the claim that everything is objective, then I would need an argument for it. And he just literally never gave the argument. He said the argument wouldn't be relevant because there is some type of, like, view that I put into question the relevancy of, and he just never gave the relevancy. And then he tried to ask me a question, but I said, I'm not justified in answering your question if you're not going to answer my question, because my question is more relevant to the debate than you spewing some random view nonsense. And he's talking about physicalism, like, in non-physicalism. I'm saying, dude, I'm not disagreeing with you that they're not relevant to the discussion in the current point. I agree. We are on whether or not objectivity, or if everything is objective or not if the mind is not some, like, physical or non-physical thing. He tried to equate it with that, but I'm saying, dude, there's no, like, instance or no like actual explanation as to why that's the case, and then he moved to conclusions. So I just think he lost.
All right. I mean, we all know why the retarded names themselves, right? So, the debate proposition obviously was reductive physicalism is better than substance dualism by virtue of certain parsimony concerns. He asked me what the reasons were for thinking physicalism was more parsimonious, and the reason for that is that you can take any mental data and you can just explain that in terms of brain state. And then he asked, like, okay, well, presumably, you know, there's certain things that might not be explainable in terms of brain states, like qualia, for instance. And I asked how you define qualia because it might be the case that it's like in principle irreducible by definition. You define qualia as subjective experiences, and now I don't take the view that subjective experiences exist. If we construe subjectivity the way that's ordinarily construed, the way that people like Daniel Dennett and Keith Frankish construe subjectivity, which is in terms of a reducible first personality, I don't think there is such a thing. I said that I'm unconvinced that there are such things, and then I said I take the view that everything is objective. Afterwards, Hero, being incredibly confused, asked for the argument for the claim that everything is objective, but accidentally, like being the retard that he is, he asked for an argument in favor of a claim that isn't directly relevant to the debate proposition, something that was said in passing, something that, like, just to claim that everything is objective. But I don't have to take the view that everything is objective. I could just be agnostic on it. It isn't actually relevant, and the reason it isn't actually relevant is because to say that everything is objective would be just to say that metaphysical physicalism is true, but that view can be false while physicalism about minds is true. Peter Van Eenwagen holds that type of view. There's a plethora of different philosophers that hold to metaphysical physicalism, or sorry, that reject metaphysical physicalism, while simultaneously holding to a mind physicalist view. And then after he realized that he retardedly asked a question that wasn't relevant to the conversation, he decided to like run the fuck away from engaging in the conversation. He said, let's move to closings. He refused to answer my question. I gave him plenty of time to attempt to answer the question, and he was still incapable of doing it. Like, I thought that the reason he wanted a moderator so desperately was so he had space to speak, but even when he was given 30 free seconds to engage with what the fuck I said, he was still incapable of doing that. Unfortunately, I wish we could have gotten a moderator so that we could have forced the retard to engage with the question that I had already put on the table. Yeah, this is a really fucking bad look. You obviously embarrassed yourself. Yeah, I mean, that was really fucking embarrassed. Holy shit. And just to be clear, I mean, he's saying in chat, I just wanted to not be cut off. Do you think 30 seconds is enough time to not want to be cut off, or does it take you like far longer to actually put together a clear thought? Holy shit. Yeah, I mean, that was just a really bad look from you. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, the whole point about asking for an argument that establishes the claim that nothing is objective, that's just entailed by physicalism. Now remember, if it's just entailed by physicalism, then what we do to see whether or not physicalism or substantialism is true is to actually compare which view is more parsimonious. So he has like the order of how the conversation is going, or how the dialectic goes. I'm very, very confused. And the way that we would cover whether or not it is the case that one view is more parsimonious than another is to see that with respect to the neutral pieces of data, right? So not things like qualia that aren't neutral pieces of data, like things that are such that it's like logically incompatible with certain things on physicalism, which I think qualia is in the way that's ordinarily construed. In terms of the pieces of data that are actually neutral towards the view, I already gave a case for why physicalism explains that better. So yeah, I gave an argument in favor of the debate proposition. He attempted to contest the argument that I offered in favor of the debate proposition, did really fucking bad in doing it, and then ran the fuck away, begged for a moderator, and just ended up overall embarrassing himself completely, while simultaneously not tracking anything that was going on, claiming that I'm not tracking in chat. Really fucking bad look. Yeah, it was a good conversation, buddy. You got blown the fuck out.